Yep. Alright, today we're going to go over the Bear Grylls Ultimate Survival Knife and the Les Stroud Mountain, well, it's called the Les Stroud SK Mountain Knife. I think it stands for Survival Knife, made by Chameleons. Both these knives can be bought for between 40 and 50 bucks at Walmart, Academy, various places. You can see your packaging right there. Les Stroud and Bear Grylls. Now I'm going to go over the features of these knives real quick. Well, mostly what's on the sheets. Both knives have a whistle. The Gerber has a very good whistle. I mean, pretty good and loud. The Les Stroud knife has a whistle built in to a flashlight handle, and let's put it this way, I just consider it not really there. It's not up to my standards. I'll say it. That's the nicest way I can put it. Okay, both knives do have a ferro rod. The ferro rod on the Gerber Bear Grylls is right here in the front of the sheath. Pretty good long rod, large handle. I have it tied in right now, so because this little system I got, it's kind of a pain to take it out. But you can see the handle of it. You can tell it is right there, the orange handle. In a later review, we're going to do some, in a part 2, I'm going to do like a outside starting fires with these kits and let you kind of see, what's what with that. Now the ferro rod on the Les Stroud knife is right here. Both the flashlight and the ferro rod are actually locked in place by having the knife in the sheath. Both knives have a hammer style pommel right here. It's even got the same kind of grit like what's on the head of a hammer. You see it on this one a little bit better. The metal's a little bit lighter color. Both knives have a sharpening system. Of course, if you got a knife, you got to sharpen it. The Les Stroud knife has a pull-through right here, and if my camera was a little better, you'd be able to see through there, and you'd actually be able to see the knife blade behind the sharpener. And the Bear Grylls knife has a sharpener it's a diamond sharpener that looks similar to a Whitrock in the way that it's laid out. It's right here. You see it right there. That's what I have my whistle tied to. Keep the whistle out of the way. When you first get the knife, the whistle is actually tied to the pommel. There's a hole in the pommel up here. But because I use my knives, I wanted to make sure I kept it out of the way. Alright, now some features that the Les Stroud knife has that the Bear Grylls knife does not have. It does have a signal mirror, which you can see right there on the table. You can see a little reflection from it. This is actually a lot shinier than what you're seeing right now. I took some lens tape that goes on a cell phone that I had laying around the house. I went ahead and put that on here to protect it from getting scratched up out in the wild. The Les Stroud knife also has a kind of like a little glove box, a little compartment right behind the mirror that you can fit a few little small items. I got some compressed cotton balls and a little tube of cayenne pepper in case I cut myself, kind of cut down the bleeding a little bit. That's about all you can really fit in there. It's a small compartment. Both knives have a pocket on the back. Where I found it's hard to fit anything in the Bear Grylls knife, the Les Stroud knife, as you can see, is big enough to fit a nice little zip bag that I put a little fishing kit off in there, along with a couple larger cotton balls to obviously make fire with. Alright. Which leads me to the last thing that is pretty cool about the Les Stroud knife. The Les Stroud knife here has a spool on the front of the sheath. Originally when I got it, it had a bright green cord, not this particular cord, but it was like looked like about 300-pound test, something like that. Just like 550 paracord, but smaller. Well, there's only 10 feet of it. I figured I want more than that, so I went with bank line, wrapped it up in here, and I got at least a good 50 feet plus of bank line on the same spool. And it's roughly 100 so pound test. So for making, you know, temporary shelters out in the wild, it's not going to be a problem. It should do what I need it to do. Both knives, when you first get them, they have a belt loop. This one has a belt loop sewn right here. I'm not a big fan of any of the belt loops that are sewn on here because they don't really give you a lot of movement. The Gerber Bear Grylls has one right here. It also has what some people are calling a molly strap here and here. I don't know if you actually got to see the belt loop earlier. It's all black on black, so it's hard to see anyway. But anyway, like I said, so I took some 550 cord, I made myself a large belt loop out of it. To where now, you see right there, got plenty of room. You attach it to your body, you know, you can move around, it ain't gonna hurt anything. And if, like I said, if you need additional, like to tie it to your leg or whatever, that's what this extra cord down here is. Now I changed the Les Stroud around a little bit, because like I said, I don't like the loops that come with the nylon sheaths. I made myself like a suspending belt loop system here to go through your belt. Doesn't have any way to really fasten it at the bottom, but it's a good strong stuff, so I mean, it's not going to fall off. It just might flop around a little bit. If it annoys you that much, I'm sure you could tie some this line, run off some of it, and tie it to your leg if need be. But so far, while I've worn it, you know, it hadn't really bothered me. I'm not running through the jungle or anything, so it hadn't really been a big issue. I did, however, still use the Velcro that came with the sheath to secure the blade on, where I did not use it on the Bear Grylls. The reason why I didn't use it on the Bear Grylls is because when I got it, the Velcro had some loose stitching, and I thought this system right here, where I made basically like a 550 cord bracelet, I thought that'd actually be stronger, and it is. I mean, right now, you know, it's not coming out of there. This right here is in there pretty good too. Once they're secured at the top, you know, they're staying in the sheath real good. They actually have a tension right here at the very end of the handle anyways that help hold them in place. Both of them do. Now the knife themselves, go ahead and take these out of here. When it comes to the sheaths, I honestly think that the Gerber has a higher quality materials, but yet at the same time though, I feel like the Les Stroud has more to offer in things, you know, that you could use. When I first was looking to get a survival knife, I was looking at the Bear Grylls. I'm more familiar with Gerber, that's why I went with it first. I've had some Gerber knives that I tried to destroy, and I just wound up just making them ugly. They still work fine. But when I first, like I said, when I first was looking at it, I looked online, and I found a lot of people were complaining, saying that the pommel had fallen off of these knives. I did a little research, and from what I found out is that when they first made this knife, they rushed it through trying to get it out to the stores quickly, didn't do the testing, and the plastics that they'd received were not what they actually wanted. It was an inferior plastic, and so the pommels were coming out at first. But Gerber's fixed that since then. I've actually tried to pull this one out. I've hammered with it. You know, I'm not out there cracking rocks like I'm on Chain Gang or something. But I have hammered with it. I've had no issues. I mean, it's tight as can be. This knife is a really wide, heavy knife. I mean, that spine is probably, I'm going to say, close to a 1/4 inch wide. It's big. You can actually see, get them out of the way for a second. You can actually see right there, you see a shiny spot on the back of the spine. That's the area that they have designated for striking your ferro rod against it. And it grips the ferro rod real good and throws plenty of sparks. One of the ideas that Gerber had with the Bear Grylls knife here is they got these holes, one at the pommel and two up here more towards the handguard. That was originally an idea to, and they use it on other knives too, to fasten the knife to a long pole and turn into a spear, which is fine and dandy if you don't have time to actually fashion out a spear. But my honest opinion is, if you have time and you have a pole, and you know that there's dangerous animals out there where you're at, whittle out the pole, taper it down. I recommend tapering it about the same length as what this blade is, roughly close to 5 inches from where you start to the tip of what's going to be your spear. Because if you actually whittle down a pole and fashion it into a spear, because it's the same diameter all the way back, it will go in as far as you can possibly drive it into the predator. Where this one, if you tie it, let's just say my hand is a stick, the pole, whatever. You tie it, you're going to have a little extra, space so it doesn't slide off to the front. You can't just tie it like right here. It's going to be like right there in reality. So you're only really going to have like about maybe a 3-inch stabbing point at the end of a long stick, which I just don't think is as good as having a long stick that can go all the way through them. I see where people are tying these to poles and throwing them at trees and just throwing them in general. I would not throw a spear if it was my primary weapon, if it was the only thing I had left. So, I mean, different strokes for different folks. I personally would keep the knife on me, fashion out a spear, and use that instead. And with this half serrated edge right here, it'd be real good for working with wood because you can grab corners and drag and sharpen. It's real nice. And then you got the fine edge right here for processing game should you catch it. And it's a pretty sharp knife. I'm just going to give you a quick little demo. Oh. Yeah. Well, I'm not having the greatest of luck right there right now, but earlier I was over here playing with it, scaring my friend, and it proved to be pretty sharp at that time. I'm just not very good at trying to cut paper on camera, I guess. I did the same thing with the Les Stroud. Amazingly more effectively with the Les Stroud than with the Gerber. I've sharpened both the knives a little bit. They both come fairly sharp out of the packaging. I would say, however, that the Les Stroud knife was sharper than the Bear Grylls knife out of the packaging. And while I mentioned the Les Stroud knife, I want to go ahead and start talking about that one. The Les Stroud knife is where they're both stainless steel, strong blades, The Les Stroud knife is a little bit thinner. It's more like what I'm used to when it comes to the thickness of a blade. And on the back, let me stick my hand right there. You can see a little notch. That notch is designed to run the ferro rod across that. I've been seeing people on YouTube complaining, saying, I can't get it to strike a ferro rod. Well, see, the secret is, these people, I do believe, are probably going 90 degrees. If you turn the blade a little bit more like a 45-degree angle and then pull the ferro rod, it'll throw sparks down. You have to use the edge of the spine, not just going straight across the spine. It does make a difference. I found that out myself when I first got the knife. And I took out the little ferro rod. I just couldn't wait. As soon as I got it, I don't think I did anything else. I went straight outside and started working with it. Like I said, take the little, and the ferro rod is kind of small, by the way. I'd like for it to be a little larger, but, what can you do, right? But like I said, like this, You know, that's not so much. But when you tilt it, it would grab them. And I'm not going to do it right here because I don't want to burn the table. But when you use the edge of the spine, it will grab and it will strike. I don't know if you can see right there. I've done it all around every side of it, and it's worked just fine. The pommel, I'm not exactly crazy with the angle. I mean, I understand the ergonomics of it. It does help you to keep your wrist straight when you're driving down. But as far as, you know, looks wise, it looks like it'd be wrong. But I got to realize when you actually hold it, it comes down straight. And you're hitting basically like that. But like I said, just the same as with the Bear Grylls knife, the Les Stroud knife is partial serrated, partial fine edge. And it's a high quality stainless steel blade. The difference is that they actually treated these Camellias blades. They say they're titanium bonded. I want to say it's pretty similar to like how they do a lot of firearms now, with a hard finish on the outside. Which I don't think is necessary, but at the same time, that's kind of a cool little thing to have on it. And as you can see with both knives, you do got their signature. You got Bear's name right there, and Les Stroud's name right there on the blade, real big. All in all, I can honestly say that I feel like these two knives are pretty evenly matched on quality. I do like the weight of the Gerber a little more than the Camellias. At the same time, though, I do like the fact that they did make that non-stick coating on the Camellias. For like if you're working with tree resin, what have you, you don't have to worry about, you know, sticking to your blade as bad and just being, you know, a royal mess. And like I said, they're both roughly the same price. I'll give the craftsmanship of the sheath to Gerber. I'll give the innovation to the Camellias. I think they got more stuff. But either way you want to go, I don't care if you're a fan of Bear Grylls or Les Stroud. I like both guys. I think, you know, they both have a lot of information that's not only entertaining, but it's also informative. So I mean, you can pretty much make your decision either way. I just want to give you some ideas of what you're looking at when you do purchase them, because they're both good knives.